Oh, thanks. Thank you. I think what
That'd be good. Where do you live? I live in Palm.
Those are, yeah. That'd be cool. This is the right there.
So well, I just felt like that.
Yeah, no, you just hang out and
Thank you all for being present with us here tonight, and I really wish that we were gathering for more joyous reasons. In some ways, the vigils that we host here in Vigilant Love, it gives us an opportunity for us in community to connect and to be with people that we love and we care about. And we come here for very specific reasons. And so much of it, I think, is that we're also coming from very full days, full weeks. And so for all of us here in Vigilant Love and all the partnering organizations, the JACCC here, we're all really grateful for just your intention to be present. And we like to start off all of our vigils with a grounding. And being an inner spiritual organization, for some of us, it might come from our Buddhist traditions, but for most spiritual traditions, there's some contemplative practice or prayer. So however this might resonate most with you, we invite you to connect with that. But wherever you are, I'll just invite us all to maybe feel our 2 feet planted on the earth, some balance between the left and the right leg. Maybe a comfortable way to relax the arms wherever you are. And if it's comfortable for you, I'll invite you to either gently rest the eyes right before you. Maybe taking your time to take a full, deep, conscious breath in and an exhale out. Just beginning to find your breath here tonight. Honoring and noticing what a gift it is to be breathing. And as you find your breath, we invite you to check in, maybe noticing how the body is feeling, how your heart and your mind might be doing here too. Honoring what a long, long week it has been. Perhaps what's been felt. And whatever you may be holding here now, know that it is fully welcome just as you are. Grief and loss is far too heavy to hold on one's own. And so tonight, with whatever drew you here, we invite you to notice and sense the presence of each and every one of us who are gathering here tonight. And maybe we'll enter into a moment of silence. Perhaps beginning to sense if they're never ever really lost. And perhaps with your presence here tonight, in our moment of honoring all of them, as we enter this evening, this vigil, I invite each and every one of us here of how we'll honor and make meaning and remember our 50 Muslims whose lives were lost last week. And how can we honor and remember them as we stand here together tonight, as we move forward in our own paths, in our own ways of struggling for justice and safety for our different communities. So as you're ready, I invite you all, maybe we'll take one more full deep inhale in through the nose and exhale out. One more final breath together. Exhaling out. Sometimes it's hard to breathe, but we thank you for joining us in that practice to this land and the tribes who lived here before. So please help me in welcoming Grey Wolf to the stage.
Because this should not have happened. And as I'm the chapter director for the American Indian Movement of Southern California, I have been an activist for over 50 years, and I have seen too much of this. I think it's about time that we say enough, and this is a start. We have to stand up, we have to speak out, we cannot be afraid. I would much rather that I be attacked for speaking out than for being quiet. And, you know, this has got me in a lot of trouble, but it doesn't make any difference. At the age of 74, I don't really care. You know, people ask me, am I going to retire now that, you know, I'm 74? I said, why? He said, the only thing is I still can outrun the police, you know. So at Standing Rock, I was at Standing Rock, and all the young guys were getting arrested and beat up, and I wasn't, and they were all surprised. They said, because I may be old, but I'm not stupid. See, so this is very annoying to me to have to keep doing this, you know. And so, again, we have to come together as people, as indigenous people, because we are all indigenous from somewhere. My people just happen to be indigenous from here. And that's how we're going to start. We're going to start by thanking the ancestors of the Kizh, Gabrielino, Tongva people, and whose land we are on, and who allow me to come up here and do these things. So we're going to do a prayer, and we're going to do it in the way the ancestors did it. You see, because we have been brainwashed, pretty much, colonized, mentally colonized, where we believe that we must bow down before, you know, this man up in the sky. And that's not the way my people are. We're not like that. We open up our hearts to the Creator. And so when we pray, we don't do this. We do this. We open up. So I want you guys to open up to Creator. And we're going to pray to Creator and say, Creator, thank you for bringing us together on this land of the ancestors of the Kizh, the Gabrielino, the Tongva. Thank you for bringing us together to speak out on this outrageous thing that has happened, and all the rest of the outrageous things. We will continue to fight. We will continue to stand up, speak out, and most of all, become united. Because that's what we need to do. We need to unite and to end this. This is the only way we're going to do it. So Creator, thank you. And thank you all for being here.
We want to welcome you all to the JACCC as well. And so our dear friend and ally in Vigilant Love, Darren Moko, Executive Director of the JACCC, will be welcoming us here to this space.
So I'm here to welcome you to the Japanese American Cultural and Community Center. And this happens a lot with events. There's someone from the organization that comes out and welcomes you. And what I wanted to do tonight was I wanted to genuinely and deeply welcome you to the Japanese American Cultural and Community Center. I welcome you as fellow Angelinos from all parts, from all neighborhoods. I welcome you to the JACCC as fellow Southern Californians, people from all over. And I'm glad you're here tonight, and I want to say thank you for coming and welcome to the JACCC. I welcome you with open arms and an open heart. Many of us are feeling pain, feeling grief, and even rage, and might not know exactly what to do with all of that. And I welcome those people. I welcome you here. I welcome you as community of people who feel like we gather like this far too often, either here at our plaza, at LAX, City Hall, or at the border. I welcome all of you who feel like we gather like this far too often. I welcome you as the interim president and chief executive officer of the Japanese American Cultural and Community Center, because we have been targeted throughout our collective history, and this community strives to be the community that we wanted and that we needed when we were being rounded up and sent to concentration camps. So I welcome community here. And finally, I wholeheartedly and with the deepest part of my soul, I welcome my Muslim brothers and sisters and siblings of all genders. I stand here tonight to let you know that here you are family. On behalf of the JACCC, I want to tell you that here, this is home. So welcome.
All right, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm going to be on the mic for a while, so get comfy however you need to. If you want to take a seat, you can also take a seat. And I'm also going to be reading because it's been a week. It's been a very long week, and I think if I were to be honest with myself, I'm not doing so well. And at the same time, I've really been looking forward to tonight, and so I don't want to miss this opportunity to say anything that's been on my mind. So, firstly, my name is Sahir Pirzada, and I am the co-chair of Vigilant Love. And I want you all to raise your hand if this is your first Vigilant Love event. All right, so we have a good number of folks who are being introduced to VL through this event. So I did want to give a brief background of what VL is. So we are a grassroots organization challenging Islamophobia through arts, healing, and activism. And we're a team of social workers, lawyers, artists, retired teachers, activists. We are Muslim, queer, Buddhist, trans, Jewish, and multi-generational. Not all of those at the same time, always. And we're all in Vigilant Love together because we know that radical relationships are the social change strategy needed to fight Islamophobia. And our relationships in VL really began to blossom back in 2001 after the September 11th attacks. So members of the Japanese American community reached out to folks in the Muslim community and held a solidarity vigil right here in Little Tokyo. And over 300 people showed up. And after that, the communities made it a point to get to know one another. And they did this through a number of things. So one is that they would meet in the month of Ramadan, which is just around the corner, and they would break fast together and get to know about the practices of each other's communities. They also started caravanning together out to Manzanar, which is one of the incarceration camps that was used during World War II to incarcerate Japanese Americans. And they also started youth programs for Muslim American and Japanese American youth to learn about each other and organize together. Vigilant Love as an organization didn't emerge until December 2015 when the San Bernardino attacks happened. And this time we maintained the momentum of being in community with each other by organizing together against Islamophobic policies. So from the Muslim ban protests to countering violent extremism policies in our city, we worked in coalition to hold those in power accountable and disrupt what we call the mosque to prison pipeline. And we know that Islamophobia is but a manifestation of white supremacy, right? This is not something new. The Muslim American community is also extremely diverse, with over 500,000 Muslims residing in the greater Los Angeles area alone. The policies that are used to profile, surveil, police, incarcerate, ban, and kill our people are nothing new and follow a long trajectory of how state violence has functioned since the inception of this country. And it breaks my heart to know that the cycle of violence continues, and we are gathered in community once more to mourn the loss of life. The 50 lives lost in Christchurch, New Zealand were lives that were taken because of their Muslim identity. As a Muslim, I grew up in the masjid. That's where I went to my full-time school from 2nd to 8th grade. That's where I made my Friday prayers in congregation with my community. It's where I made my first friends. It's where I got married. It's where I mourned family members' deaths. And it's where I knew I could go to feel safe being a Muslim. And you know, every time I visit a new country, I have found joy in visiting the local masjids that are there and recognizing the beauty of diverse Muslim practice. And I think about the lives that were lost and how they were trying to seek refuge in a time and day when Islamophobia is rampant. How so many of them were also refugees and from immigrant backgrounds, escaping violence from their own homelands, some lands that had been invaded by our military, or denied access for refuge and asylum by our government. And on a global front, Muslims right now are being persecuted in so many different ways. We can think about China even, and how being Muslim is considered a mental illness, and people are being put in incarceration camps there. But on Fridays, Muslims get to gather and pray in community, and it's a mandatory appointment with God. It's a mandatory and prescribed prayer for Muslims to meet with their Lord and be in community with each other. And this white supremacist murderer in New Zealand knew that. He knew that this was a sacred time on Friday afternoons where he could find Muslims in their most vulnerable state. They were in an appointment in the remembrance of their Lord. And I want us to remember this, that this was no random act of violence. This was a premeditated attack that was targeting Muslims. And this was also not an isolated event. There's an entire Islamophobia industry that is funding the narrative that Muslims are a threat to our society, and that we are an other, and that we are to be feared. And I remember when I first heard about the attacks, I don't remember feeling. I was just numb, and I was numb for a while. And I also wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised. I was almost expecting an attack and a tragedy to happen because we were due for another one. And you know, the text messages, they started trickling in, and the emails of comfort and support, which I so appreciated. But I wasn't really able to be in my body and feel. And I showed up to internship on Monday, and it was almost as business as usual. Nobody asked me about how I was feeling. Nobody acknowledged what had happened the previous Friday. You know, they were all just kind of, I don't know. I was like shocked, because for me, my Facebook feed and stream were just flooded with this news. And I remember sitting there, and a picture popped up on my news feed as I was scrolling. And it was a picture of the janazah prayers. And so just the image of white bodies that were covered, laying on the floor, and the congregants in rows mourning the lives that were lost. And I lost it. And I started crying, and I waited for folks to comfort me, and there was no acknowledgement of my existence. And in a time when Muslims are super hyper visible in the media, in society, to feel completely invisible with my emotions and my mourning was unacceptable. And so I texted a Muslim colleague at my work because I needed to be in community, and I just wanted to be seen and acknowledged, and it felt amazing. And I remember thinking, I'm so looking forward to Friday. I'm so looking forward to Friday and to be with my people and to be able to be raw in my emotions and not have to filter what it is that I'm feeling and who it is that I am. And so I just want to express my sincere gratitude to you all for coming and for holding this space where so many of us have to live day to day and not be seen and not be acknowledged for the mourning that has continued, I think, since I was born. And so I hope that, you know, God willing, inshallah, you leave today on a healing note, knowing that this community exists for us. And I don't have an ending because I can go on for days. And you will definitely see me again because I'm going to come back up on the mic in like 20 minutes. But Thank you all so much for coming. We have Tracy Kato-Kiriyama, who's a part of our steering committee.
Thank you, Sahara. That was powerful and beautiful. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. We wanted to take this opportunity, as we do anytime that we hold space, to have people be seen and acknowledged, and to see and acknowledge. So we're going to do a couple of exercises tonight, and we want you to indulge us. This first one is very simple. We would like you to take a few moments and pair up with a person standing near you. And if you feel comfortable enough, to pair with somebody that you actually don't know. We come here and we share space, and oftentimes we leave and we don't know exactly who we are sharing space with, and we want to take this opportunity to do that. So please go ahead and pair up with somebody right now and select an A and a B. I'm going to give you a couple minutes each. Go ahead and pick a person, A and a B. All right. Person B will go first. And we would like you to just share with your partner what brought you here today. Why did you show up at this? Okay, now switch. Person A, please share what brought you here today. Why did you show up? And relax. And thank your partner, A and B. And we will return to this, so stay close. Stay close to your new friend. We will return to this towards the end of the program.
We are also really excited to have Fauzia share some words today with us. And I'll let Fauzia, you can just come up here. And we're really excited for all the folks who are in our VL community, Fauzia being one of them. So thank you for joining us with us tonight.
Assalamu alaikum. That's sort of the South Asian way of saying assalamu alaikum. You sort of ruin it at the top a little bit. I really love how, one of my favorite things is connection, so I love when strangers get to meet new strangers. Did anyone make a friend? Did anyone find a date? Just checking, you never know where we meet people. This is beautiful. We have to facilitate community here. Thank you for having me. The thing that you may not know about me, so I used to be a lawyer. I'm an artist now, but I had to come out as an artist, much to the chagrin of my very Muslim family. They didn't understand why I would do that, to myself, to them. But then I really did it again, because then I came out a second time as a lesbian. And they were like, what? And so yes, I am a South Asian, Muslim, queer woman. And I grew up in this tiny little town in Canada, all white folks. Look, it took me years to figure out just how to be brown. You know what I'm saying? So then, when I first came out as gay, I didn't know how to process that identity at all. And how it was going to change my family, my community, how they looked at me. Most importantly, I didn't know how to process how to look at myself. The first piece of art I ever made was a short film processing the various intersections of my identities. That's actually how my mother felt when I came out as gay. But the first piece of art that I made, it was very much about trying to figure out, can I even be gay and Muslim at the same time? Now look, unequivocally I came to the conclusion, yes I can. But the way that I survived, the way that I thrived, was through the healing power of art, through the power of storytelling, through the power of comedy, by having very public conversations about my very private pain. And the more I spoke out, the more I realized that, and the more I created, and the more I shared my truth, the more I realized I was not alone. The more I realized that, oh, connecting to others matters. The more I spoke out, the more I created, the more I found kin, I found collaborators, I found community. And that is how I realized in a very deep, very real way that not only art can save lives, but community can save lives. Now I know tonight our communities, we're gathering because of tragedy to honor our Muslims family murdered in New Zealand. But we must remember the beauty in gathering, the peace and power in gathering, the breathing involved in gathering. I think that was the first time I breathed today. To be honest, I'm not even kidding. The joy and healing in gathering. Because to be completely honest, I've not always felt safe speaking out like this, proclaiming my queerness. But I feel safe today because this is clearly a community where we gather to celebrate and support each other, to celebrate you and you and you and all of this cuteness over here, you, exactly as we all are. Whether that means being queer or trans or gender nonconforming or two-spirit or black or brown or Asian or Muslim or ally, the message we must espouse is that we celebrate all folks at all intersections, and you are all safe here in this community. And y'all look around, this community is real beautiful. Brought together with Vigilant Love by this amazing organization that, yes, this is my first time here as a new human to LA, but by Vigilant Love with Vigilant Love. And when we need healing, we need leaders. We need folks like y'all, like the Tracys. I know there's two Tracys. And Seher, and everyone who organized the Vigil tonight. We need to connect with other communities who have gone through ethnic cleansing, like our Japanese American community. We must connect with the land upon which we stand and acknowledge how it was stripped away from our indigenous siblings. So thank you, Tracy and Seher, and everyone who is holding up this sign, which I know it doesn't look easy, but it is, or it doesn't look, it looks easy, but it's not. It's very hard. Your arms get tired. So thank you for doing this. And thank you to all of you for gathering on this cold night in March. Because it's cold. I'm cold. I'm wearing a shawl and an undershirt. But thank you for gathering and holding the space for amplifying this spectrum of voices that actually represents who we all are, that actually reflects the power of our intersectionality. I mean, this is how we can create change, how we can change our future and our narratives. Because it is only together through community, all our communities, all of you. That's how we can be safe here. And I don't know how I can do it, but I'm going to try. But I'm going to make sure to do my best to make sure y'all are safe here. Thank you.
And a dear friend, poet, artist, community organizer, Summer Safe, who will be sharing a poem.
So I wrote this poem as a way to kind of process and heal, and I hope it has that capacity to do the same for other folks as well. There is a stifling numbness that follows, a disconnect. The prayer room in the Lamida Masjid with the red carpet, chuppels, unkept shoelaces, and dirt-coated sneakers in a disarray outside, children laughing and running. Abba picks guavas from the tree a few blocks down, a secret spot. There was a rose bush behind the tarp I got stuck in one time, tangled in painful thorns, faint flashes of tingling pinches as I hid there waiting to be found. Hide and seek. The little playground and basketball hoop, remnants that have disappeared and been replaced. Sometimes I forget that I'm a walking target, a ticking bomb, if you will. I haven't prayed in a while. I'm scared that if I do, I will have to sit with the ghosts. The unsettled spirits of lives lost to senseless anger, turned to violence, turned to death. Sensationalism, cyber-terrorism, yet I'm still a terrorist. I saw my sibling cry into brown arms, two brave souls with stinging eyes. I see their fear carefully hidden under shields of tough skin and quick smiles. It's easy to forget your childhood could have been a graveyard. Sisters teach you to read the Quran, encourage you with prizes of stickers and plastic toys. They don't prepare you for senseless hatred, for a world ready at any moment to break you. Allah taught me how to ask for forgiveness, to honor my loved ones. I never learned how delicate flesh is and bullets that pierce blood. If it was a masjid in 2008, the red carpet would have camouflaged the blood, sleeping bodies, crumpled janamazes, more angels in Jannah. People send me iMessages of comfort and care. I respond graciously with thank yous and little red hearts, wondering if next time it's going to be a name I recognize, a place I know. I remember taking my hijab off during lunch break at Sunday school and getting chastised under the sun. The vastness of the sky as it protected the little rooms across from a gas station and next to a 7-Eleven. I remember when my family got their tires slashed outside. I remember the Arabic letters I painted to honor Zainab. I remember the first time I was called Osama. The sky has turned from scarlet to black every day for 21 years, and I'm still a Muslim. It's hard to see very many stars with all the smog and lights, but if I squint a little, I can see a few more shining tonight. Reminders to be thankful for those of us who are still here. I know, for all of you that I don't know and maybe never will, I know we all look up at the same sky and find solace in the new illuminations. Spotlights making sure that we will never suffocate in pitch black darkness, guiding us safely home.
So we did want to share a call to action for folks, because I know in times like these it could feel like, well, what can I do in this moment? And we know that globally Islamophobia and white supremacy have manifestations locally. So, you know, in response to the attack that just happened and many others like it, governments around the world will be pumping funding and resources into counterterrorism and counter-radicalization programs. And these programs, they'll claim, will help law enforcement monitor and prevent acts of violence from occurring. And although they claim that they don't discriminate on the basis of race or religion, we know that the target globally has been, historically, black and brown communities, including Muslims. And so locally, I wanted to talk about one specific program that's called CVE, which is the Countering Violent Extremism Program. And this program has been around since about 2014 in Los Angeles. And, you know, last year we got wind of the fact that the mayor of Los Angeles was trying to get $500,000 from this program. And, you know, under the banner of countering violent extremism, was going to give funding to mainly folks in the Muslim community for mental health services. And it was this idea of, hey, y'all, you have a problem with radicalization. Let's give you some money so that you can have some services and stop this from happening. And the basis of that itself is racist and Islamophobic. And we were actually able to stop the mayor from taking that funding. And it was a coalition of folks, multiple organizations, working day in and day out to let folks know that we don't want this funding in our city. We don't want these programs in our city. They do not make us safer. And the programs continue today, and we're seeing it manifest on college campuses, K-12 schools, and we need folks to be aware so they can check their own institutions. How many of you are students at an institution, if you could raise your hand? So a few of you, that's cool. How many of you are mental health professionals? How many of you are teachers? So it's like half of you. But, you know, you have folks who are in these other spaces. And we hope that you will go and talk to your people and to your institutions and ask them, where are you getting your funding from? What programs do you have that are profiling our students of color, that are profiling our communities? And ask them to show receipts, and then also ask them to reject the funding and to reject these narratives. In addition to that, there are a number of things that folks can do to challenge Islamophobia, whether it's interpersonally, communally, or structurally.
But we wanted to do one last exercise. So who's cold? Everybody's so cold, right? Oh my gosh, I'm not prepared for tonight. So we're going to help out with that. We, in our practice, really ground ourselves in creative collaboration. And we feel like a vigil is also a creative collaboration. And I'm going to ask you to get back into your pairs. Yes. That awkward thing we're asking you to do, we're doing it again. So this is going to get even better. And it'll help with some of the, generating some heat. We're going to be asking you to, with your partner, come up with 2 gestures. So I know this is so different for a vigil, right? But this is great. You're going to remember this. And I think Sahara and Tracy, you should model this, instead of me and you. Yeah. So with your partner, your first gesture with everything that we heard tonight, right? Everything that we came together for. All the pain, right? We'd like you to just take a moment to think about where in and on your body do you hold it? Where do you hold stress and pain? And we'd like you to just take, and it doesn't have to be a huge, we want you to associate a gesture with it. So for myself, I tend to hold it right here in my chest. This is what I would share with my partners. So it can be a small gesture. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. But that's the first one, okay? So we'd like you to just take a moment and just share with your partner, like, where on your body at this time do you hold pain and stress? Introduce yourself. Yeah, there you go. Yes. And so this gesture is like about holding joy and that kind of power that you feel just by showing up and seeing others around you. Like, look around. Showing up. Like, yeah? All right, so 1, 2, 3, go! Nice. All right, give yourselves a hand.
Okay.
Tracy, can you announce speaker to speaker?
Speaker to speaker.
So we're gonna try to get in between the speakers on the left and the right. So try to make sure you're in between there. And again, everyone is welcome to join this photo.
There's a lot of space on the side. A lot of space on the side.
Hi, Joey. Nice to meet you.
Taking your photo, you're taking a video. Oh, I like the dog. I'm gonna take the dog's picture. Oh.
And then come closer together if you're comfortable. There's a lot of space up at the front, actually. Just a family photo, you know? It's the reunion.
Okay, ready? On me.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody
look at Darren. Come on in.
Stay on.
You want to get yours first? You want to get yours first? You want to get yours first?
Oh, no, you go.
Okay, you're in it though.
Oh,
he's first.
Get ready.
1, 2, 3. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Is our resident. I think that's been better.
That's good. It's for a door hanger, huh? Nice.